First, I want to cover like the big player news. Amari Cooper is reportedly getting cut. I want to say like 5 days into the new league year, which is like sometime in the middle to late March. Um, Amari Cooper is gonna like be due, I think, 22 million dollars guaranteed if he hits that time. So the rumor is the Cowboys are going to try to move him before then if they can. If they can't get a trade partner, then they're probably just going to cut him outright. And that's big because like Amari Cooper is an elite wide receiver. He's a true number one wide receiver. And as a Jets fan, it's like I would take Amari Cooper in a heartbeat. Amari Cooper would be the best receiver that we've had since Brandon Marshall, and it's not really even close. Like Amari Cooper is a guy that's like consistently played at least 14 games per season. He's had multiple 1,000-yard receiving seasons, multiple Pro Bowls. He would fit like the Jets system perfectly. And like he's a true number one receiver that's hit in the free agency market. The rumor, and well, that's if he doesn't get traded, but the rumor is like Devontae Adams, he's getting franchise tagged for sure. Chris Godwin, supposedly the new news is like the Buccaneers are probably going to bring him back. So like Amari Cooper getting cut, he could very well be the biggest name free agent as far as the receiver position goes. So that's going to be really interesting. I'm really confused to why like the Cowboys would be giving up on him so quickly. Like they traded the first round pick for him, they gave him the extension, and he's been pretty good for Dallas thus far. Like he fits really well having CeeDee Lamb as well. So now they're going to kind of rely on CeeDee Lamb and then bringing Michael Gallup back, who's going to be coming off of a torn ACL. So I'm curious to see how all that plays out for Dallas. And then I want to cover some of my favorite like things that went down at the combine. I'm just going to cover the first day. So this was QBs, receivers, tight ends. Whoever was recording the 40-yard dash times, I don't know what was wrong with them, but they got some of these like way off. It's crazy. So Tyquan Thornton from Baylor, he ran an unofficial 4.21, which would have beat the NFL record for 40-yard dash. And then they ran things back, and the official came out, and it was a 4.28. And I mean that's still super fast. I want to say that ties where Chris Johnson was at. I think Chris Johnson ran a 4.28, which that was the record for a very long time. So he's still super fast, but like to be that far off. And then one that's even bigger is like the Chris Olave. Chris Olave ran a unofficial 4.26, but it turned out to be like a 4.37. So they were way off. And Chris Olave didn't even run the second time because he was so confident. Like, you guys just said I ran a 4.26. Why would I run a second time? I just basically tied the NFL record, like was close to the NFL record as far as the 40 time goes. But like, I think this class is this draft class is it's an interesting one for sure. There's no like top candidate QB as far as like an Andrew Luck goes, or even Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Mahomes. Nobody's like really talked about in these classes. There's a couple like pretty good QB prospects, but they're not like saying they're top 5 picks even. Like Malik Willis, people are in love watching this dude throw the football, but from all the reports, they also say like he probably needs to sit for a little bit before coming in. He shouldn't be like a day one starter, which I mean I think that's going to benefit a guy like that who's trying to develop his game. Maybe he slides to a better team and he's able to sit for a year and then come in and come out his second year really well. But so you have Malik Willis. He decided not to run the 40, which it's fair. Like most of these like these guys that are QBs that are known for like this is clearly the fastest dude in the draft. They hardly ever run the 40. And I think like Lamar did it. He didn't run the 40 a few years ago, and his excuse is kind of like these dudes are trying to talk to me like I'm a receiver. I'm not a receiver. I'm a QB. So like Lamar, it was that makes sense. And then like Kyler didn't run it, and now Malik Willis doesn't run it. And like to be honest, I want to say like RG3. I remember RG3 running like a 4.4. But a lot of these like really fast QBs, they keep their like speed on the low. Like they're not really running the 40 to letting people know like how fast they are. Um, but Desmond Ritter, another top QB, he ran a 4.5. I think that's faster than many expected. He's also got a really good arm, so I'm curious to see where he lands. And it seems like all the NFL teams have different like out input as far as like who's their top QB on the draft board. I've heard plenty of names go around. So I mean, it's one of those things like we probably won't see until the NFL draft. And then some of the other positions that I think are pretty good. The tight end class. There's a few dudes that I'm excited about. Trey McBride, in my opinion, is the best tight end from everything I've seen. He's very versatile, great blocker, good receiver, good after the catch. I think he's got all the tools you want for a modern day tight end. He didn't run the 40. That was like really the only thing I didn't see him do. But one of the other dudes is Greg Dulcich. He's like a big body. Looks like he's a really good receiving threat. I don't know if he's as good of a blocker as McBride, but also I haven't seen a whole lot of tape on him, so I could be wrong. And then another name that kind of popped out to me was Jelani Woods. This dude is 6'7". I think he ran a 4.6 40. It's pretty fast for a dude that big. I want to say he was a high school quarterback. So he's a really good athlete. And 6'7", that's huge. That's a huge tight end. So I'm curious to see, how this tight end class goes. And then as far as receiver, now the receiving class, I will acknowledge, like, I don't think that there's a top dude in this class. I don't think there's a Jamar Chase or a Jalen Waddle in this class, even a Devontae Smith. I think like the last couple classes they probably have higher top end, but I think this class also has a lot of really good receivers that could potentially be, legit NFL players. You got a lot of dudes right now are kind of hating on Treylon Burks. He didn't have the best like times on the 40 and everything. He ran a 4.5. It's just funny though, because like if you actually look at like the top receivers in the NFL, what kind of 40 was like Devontae Adams running, DeAndre Hopkins, Debo Samuel, AJ Brown, these dudes that Burks gets compared to, they all ran in like the 4.5 range. So like speed at the receiver position, it's very important, but like whether or not you run a 4.3 or a 4.5, it doesn't mean like this is the end of the world when it comes to your prospects of an NFL career. I don't think that NFL teams hold as much weight into like 40 times as some others would think. I do think like, sometimes like someone going out there and having a crazy 40 for sure will boost their draft stock, but I don't think like Burks having a 4.5, I don't think that hurts him necessarily. But maybe I'm wrong. I guess it could depend on the team as well. But that's just what I've been looking at these receivers a lot because I'm a Jets fan and we could definitely use another outside receiver. So I'd be curious. Like I think Burks would be a nice pickup. Garrett Wilson looks really good. He also ran a pretty good 40. I think it was a 4.37. And then like one of the best like dudes at the combine, Christian Watson from North Dakota State. This dude's 6'4" and he ran a 4.36. That's crazy. And I think this dude's he's not been talked about near as much as some of the other names because he's from North Dakota State. And then just to kind of talk about some of the other big names I saw, Bo Melton had a nice 40. Sky Moore, I think it's Jahan Dotson from Penn State. He looked really good out there. Calvin Austin from Memphis. He's a smaller guy. He also ran a low 4.3, super fast. And then one thing that I thought was pretty cool to see, George Pickens, he ran a 4.47. This is a dude who tore his ACL, I think earlier in 2021. So he's like coming fresh off an ACL tear. He didn't really play too much for Georgia this year. I know he played a bit in the playoffs and everything, but the run of 4.47, that's pretty impressive. And he's a big dude too.